I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
I'm going for it. Bravery.
No, I don't.
Ihre Papiere.
I don't have any papers. I lost meine Papiere. Ich habe sie verloren. It doesn't make any sense, sir. Why? Why me? Why do I deserve to go?
The Post did not have to run the photo.
Oof, at least not a full page.
God, no.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready, Shelby. Hit it. Attaboy.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another special episode of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe, and welcome to this double special of a after midnight recording and a special episode. And we talk about a specific person.
And it's the 20th episode.
That as well.
Yeah.
So many milestones.
So many special things about this episode.
Yeah, so many special things, yeah.
As you just said, I mean, last week we had our first little midnight episode where we recorded our episode very late in the day. And we thought, we have to top that. So we're now it's now 1:30 in the morning, and we decided to record this special, which, is going to be either good or just terrible. But we'll figure that out once we put this thing together.
I hope the more we talk, the more energized we get, not the sleepier we get. I mean, we'll finish with this. It's going to be like 3 in, and
sure.
I mean,
we'll try and
some
keep
good
it somewhat
come out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sure we'll be. All those good movies we're going to talk about are going to keep us energized.
Yeah. Or like in the top 5, we're going to get really.
Yeah, we're going to get really excited.
Really energized. Yeah.
Just one of us starts sleeping and halfway through the other's list.
Little intermission.
Yeah. But I know it's my fault. I mean, I've been postponing this recording for the last couple of days, and now we sort of decided to do it now, and it's my bad if it turns out bad. But hopefully, it'll, I liked last week's episode. I thought that was quite a nice vibe.
Yeah. I liked it as well. I mean, maybe we should rename our podcast to "The Things We Remember When We're Drunk."
Yes,
best thing we've seen. Because I think I've left some things out last episode.
But I mean, you talked about a lot of things.
I know, but there's still a couple of things that I want to mention. But that's the thing when we record for such a long time, we have such a long episode.
Yeah.
That was some little things that I want to talk about. But
we'll get to it next week. We'll get to it next week.
Like the last episode, towards the end, we opened some doors, as you said.
Some boxes, yeah. Let's open them next week.
You might get a chance to talk about one of those boxes in this episode.
Okay.
But I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about now, but we'll see.
All right.
How you doing, man? I mean, the obvious question, but it's got to be asked.
Well, yeah. Well, for those of you listening, we plan to record this episode at 11 p.m.
Yeah, early in the
day.
Yeah.
When I just got out from work and I just walked home and I was ready to record this podcast, and then you wrote me and said, "Hey, I'm still somewhere. Can we postpone this?" And I was kind of glad because I was quite exhausted after work, but now I've had a couple of beers and now
now 2 hours later,
things have changed.
Yeah, this is the peak time for us. This is where the best discussions occur. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think neither of us is a morning person, so...
Yeah.
And normally when we have those discussions, I think we've mentioned before, we're usually in a bar, a couple of beers in, so...
I won't add the bar music this time. Even though
it's a nice touch.
Yeah, I had to chuckle when I put that in. Because it was the slowest fucking music I could find, Because usually it's just regular music when in the bars that we were at, just regular Spotify playlist just playing. And this was I had the jazziest saloon jazz bars, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it made me chuckle if I put it in. So, yeah, this is sorry.
No, but how have you been? I mean, it's a beautiful rainy day today, and I know you love the rain.
I love it, dude. I mean, I just walked home, and it was It's literally like it's windy as hell. It's raining. It's pouring down, and like all the cars are passing me, and it's like in the movies where they like drive through a puddle and it just hits me. Happened all the way home. So I was kind of glad when I finally, when I was inside. But I'm excited, dude, because I mean, yeah, overall, I'm good. Otherwise, thank you, but I'm excited today because, I mean, it's late, it's raining. We're excited to talk about this person's career, and this is literally one of my favorite actors that we're going to talk about today. And
it's a good one, yeah.
Yes. So if you haven't listened to one of our special episodes, basically what we do around here is we once a month we talk about one person's career, and we just count down the top 10 things that we've seen from that person. And that person this week, as you can see from the title, is Matt Damon. And you would have heard him in the intro as well. A couple of clips.
I'm excited for the intro.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but yeah. So we're counting down the top 10 things, and obviously the number one is going to be the best thing that we've seen from Matt Damon. And we have not talked about this list with each other beforehand, so we have no idea what the other one will choose. I'm excited to, because we just talked about it off air. I have so many movies that I could put into this top 10, and it's very, very hard for me to exclude some of those movies. But I'm excited to talk about 10 very, very good films, in my opinion, or things.
Yeah,
I should say.
Because we just talked about it. I know you're a way bigger fan of Matt Damon than I am, and I still love him. He still has some great movies, but putting this list together was kind of hard for me as well, because it was hard for me to find 10 things that I was confident to talk about. And I think our lists are going to be quite different, because I know a couple of films that you love. You fucking love them, and I'm not a huge fan. Yeah. Not a huge fan of those films, but we're going to get to it.
I'm very interested in hearing your list, and
I think it's going to be so different.
It's going to be so different, and this is going to be my most controversial list yet. Without a doubt.
It will be. Yeah.
Without a doubt. Because when you think of Matt Damon, when the regular movie watcher thinks of Matt Damon, a couple of movies come to mind. And some of his most well-known films are not going to make my top 10.
Yeah, same for me. I think that's why my list is going to be quite controversial. Controversial for fans of Matt Damon.
But I was like, I have to be honest with myself. I don't think that it's very controversial, because there's some movies on the list that are people don't genuinely like, and they're like, I rank them above one of his most well-known films or whatever. But let's start counting them down. I'm excited about this.
Who's going to start this episode?
Good question. The last special episode was Emma Stone, and I think who started that one?
What was the last regular episode? Because
I thought we just was it?
It was 4 episodes, so it doesn't matter if it's the last special or anything, right?
I don't know.
Every 2 episodes. Is my math wrong right here?
I'm not sure. What was the last episode? Last episode was the Midnight Special, where we talked about the 5 Bloods. We talked about Vivarium.
Yes, and I started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's my turn, I hope.
Yes, and one thing that we also need to explain, if he says a movie now that I have higher on my list, we're simply going to save that conversation to when we get to it on my list, so that we don't talk about the movie twice. Yeah. I hope that makes sense.
But for the record, I would be incredibly fucking surprised if it's anywhere in your top 10. And it's a miracle that it'll land on my list.
And here we go.
But it's just by a process of elimination that landed on there.
Let me ask you one thing, sorry, before we start.
Yeah, sure.
A question that I always like to ask in these special episodes that I tend to forget usually. What was the first memory that you have of Matt Damon? What was the first thing that you've seen from him?
That's a tough
question. I don't even know the answer.
I think the first thing that I saw of Matt Damon was probably Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Because one of his earlier film roles, I mean, he had some big film roles before that, but those were kind of mature movies. And I think one of those movies is going to make your list as well.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure when did Ocean's 11 come out, early 2000s?
I think it was 2001.
Yeah, all right.
Let's Google it. I'll have to do
Sure,
it.
we honor.
It is 2001.
Yes,
It is 2001.
Yeah, of course. You have to know this.
I have to know Ocean's 11. Yeah.
But yeah, and speaking of like oceans, we mentioned this also before we started recording. When it comes to like Oceans or Bourne or any kind of franchise, or especially you count those franchises as one thing, not Oceans 11, 12, and 13. There's going to be 3 entries on our list.
Yeah.
So
that's very, very true. I think the first thing that I've seen was, thanks for asking, by the way.
Sorry, dude.
So stupid. I'm glad you asked. I think it was...
What was the first memory you had?
Sorry?
What
was that?
Earliest memory of Matt Damon?
Yeah, sorry, of course, thank you. I think for me it was also... it was either Bourne or Oceans. Because I didn't see like Good Will Hunting till later. Or like his more prestigious things. I loved Oceans and yeah.
One of my earliest memories might have also been Saving Private Ryan, because I saw it when I was quite young.
Yeah, I didn't. I saw that way later.
Though it's one of his more famous roles, it's quite a small role.
Yeah. Well, he is Private Ryan.
Yeah, sure, but he's like in the last 20, 30 minutes.
Sure.
Of this whole film.
Sure. All right, here we go.
All right.
Let's start this off.
My number 10 is not going to be anywhere close to your list.
Oh, don't! Oh my god! Is it going to be Thor?
Close. Deadpool 2.
What?
Yeah.
He's in it for like a minute.
Yeah, and I love the scene, and I love it because I didn't know it was him until
Deadpool 2. Right. I feel so much better about my list now. The best thing I've seen. I love it. Yeah, sorry.
Because I had quite a hard time to find a number 10 spot, and I rewatched one film and I watched 2 new films for this list, and we had quite a hard time deciding on an actor for this episode. We wrote back and forth for like 2 hours.
Yeah, you were the one. Yeah, you were the one who was gracious enough to say let's do Matt Damon, because he was an easy one for me. Because
I loved Matt Damon as well, and we both didn't have a lot of time because it took us such a long time to decide, and we both have to study for a couple of exams we have for university. So there wasn't a huge amount of time to rewatch or watch new things from an actor. So Matt Damon, clear choice. We both have seen quite a lot of him, but there are still a couple of films we haven't seen. So I got the chance to watch 2 new movies.
Are any of those going to make your list?
One of them.
Okay.
And the other one was my top 10, and was my number 10. I was like, and what I want to take as my number 10, I'm just going to say it, but it didn't make my list, is Syriana.
Right. It's one I haven't seen.
All right. It was all right, but it's kind of disappointing. It was so, I don't know, just so fast-paced and didn't explain anything. And it's interesting if you know about the history, because it's like about the US importing, or the CIA is kind of supporting the people in Iran, Saudi Arabia, and is supporting the kind of little civil wars that they have. And I don't know, and just different perspectives. And Matt Damon is one person who kind of gets caught up in all this stuff because he works for like an oil company. But
is that the film with
the
pool?
Fine.
With the child in the pool?
Yeah.
I started watching it like a couple of months ago, but I didn't finish it.
Yeah, I almost took this film as my put it in my number 10 spot, but Matt Damon's role is
so
all right.
But you decided to take Deadpool too.
It's not. Yeah, it's small, but just not memorable.
Right.
The whole movie wasn't memorable.
Well said. But Deadpool 2, that is memorable. You're right.
Yeah, that scene. Well, in that scene, Matt Damon has a cameo role, and he has heavy makeup on, and he kind of distorts his voice, so you wouldn't recognize him at all. Yeah. And he's mentioned in the credits. Yeah, it's kind of a favor to the director and like kind of an in-joke.
It's him and is it Alan Tudyk?
Yes, and Alan Tudyk. And they sit on a truck and play 2 rednecks, and they have a conversation about wiping their asses.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon has such a convincing argument, and I kind of took that to heart, and I had to think about it a lot, because he says, "Well, you wipe your ass with a piece of toilet paper, but if you kind of touched a piece of shit, you wouldn't just take a tissue and wipe it off and then you'll be fine. No, you'd wash your fucking hands.
Sure.
So if you'd take a shit, you wouldn't just use a piece of paper, you'd like use wet wipes to get that shit cleaned. Which is a good argument. I can't disagree. And apparently I watched a behind the scenes special of Deadpool 2, and apparently somebody on set, I forgot if it was a cameraman or whoever, and apparently he's kind of famous for this conversation. He has it with quite a lot of people on set. And so I kind of incorporated it into the script. And I just loved the conversation. I just loved the fact that I didn't know it was Matt Damon. The fact that he would do this. He's an A-list actor.
Yes.
Incredibly famous. Well-paid actor. Huge roles. And he just take this dumb little cameo and didn't even take credit for it.
Sure. That's one of the reasons why I love him. I think he's got a great sense of humor and he does whatever, just to be funny.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it in just with his little feud with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, by the way, because they now released a new one. Have you seen the latest one where he's in the bedroom of Jimmy Kimmel's apartment?
I have to admit, I don't really follow Jimmy Kimmel. I'm not a fan.
No worries. But that's now we have an excuse to do it on Matt Damon now because the feud is ongoing. Yeah. It was a good one. It's a very, very good. I would recommend you to watch the last one. It's like 3 minutes long and it's very funny.
Well, it would have made my list, but too late now.
Yeah.
So what's your number 10?
So my number 10 is a movie called The Rainmaker. Have you seen The Rainmaker?
The Rainmaker? No, I have not.
The Rainmaker, it's directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola. I think that's the way to pronounce it. He did The Godfather, obviously, and Apocalypse Now. And this is a nice little small legal drama that that I'm a big fan of. It's it's with Danny DeVito as well.
All right.
So Matt Damon and Danny DeVito are the lawyers in this. Matt Damon is obviously the apprentice or the up and coming lawyer, and there's really not a lot to say about The Rainmaker. It's a very, very straightforward legal drama. It's about it's also with from Homeland. It's with
Homeland.
Yeah, what's her name? Shit.
I've never seen the show.
Claire Danes. You know it when you see her, I think. She's also in The Rainmaker. Obviously, it's a movie from like 1997, so everyone is a lot younger.
One of his first roles. His first role was Mystic Pizza.
Yeah.
In like 93, 92.
Yeah, it's one of his early... I think it's maybe one of his more, where he had more to do than usual.
But I think there's like his actual first acting credit on IMDb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is what? Mystic
Pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have done some commercials or some shit.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of these legal dramas, as I am, and I think obviously the director is a very, very household name, and it's very, very straightforward. There's not like anything too special about it. There's the obvious issues that come up in these legal dramas, and there's some bit of romance involved, and there's a bit of trouble there. And but I really, really liked it, and I think it's also one of his. Maybe not a lot of people have heard of this, and I think it's a very, very solid. Legal drama, and that always has a special place in my heart. So that's my number 10. I mean, there's not a lot to say. There really isn't a lot to say.
I mean, it's a top 10 list. There's going to be a lot of films that we're going to talk about. And I think when we come into the top 5, there's going to be a lot of discussion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many discussions we need to save, how many things we have in different places.
Yeah, but my number 9 is a film that's not going to be on your list either. I'm very sure. It's a film that I newly watched for this episode. And I've been meaning to watch it because I like the director quite a bit. It's Dogma.
Oh, yes.
By Kevin Smith.
Sure.
If
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I thought so. Because you're not a huge fan of Kevin Smith, right?
I couldn't even say that because I have seen so little. And I think that I'm thinking there's another film of his that's going to make an appearance on your list. Maybe. I haven't seen that either. But I haven't seen a lot of Kevin Smith's films.
if you don't know who Kevin Smith is, he's like this cult film director he's done Clerks and Chasing Amy and Dogma, and I'm a huge fan of Chasing Amy.
Yeah, isn't that going to make your list?
No, because he's in that for like 30 seconds.
Okay, I didn't know. I just saw that he was in it. I didn't know how big his part.
No, because Ben Affleck is in quite a few of his films.
Yeah,
and as quite a few people are probably aware, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are close friends, childhood friends. And they've done quite a few movies together. But Dogma is this incredibly weird movie, and he is. Are you taking a piss?
Just pouring a drink.
It just sounds.
I'm gonna keep this in. I'm gonna keep this in.
All right. Dogma is one of the weirder movies that I've seen, and it's about
at a flush now.
You're gonna wash your hands as well.
Yeah.
So Dogma is just a weird freaking movie. It's about a woman who works at a abortion clinic who gets visited by an angel played by Alan Rickman, and he tells her that two angels want to return to heaven, but they've been expelled. And those angels are played by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Yeah.
And the thing is, well, the movie starts with this Catholic priest played by George Carlin. And if you don't know who George Carlin is, he's this stand-up comedian legend.
Yes.
And he unveils his new concept for a new church because a lot of people don't like the Catholic Church anymore. And he unveils his new Jesus statue. And I think probably everyone has seen the Jesus meme. This plastic Jesus statue winking and pointing at somebody. You're gonna know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know. So yeah, I'm sorry. You're talking to the audience. Yeah.
And well, those two angels have been expelled by God, and then the priest says, whoever walks through this new church or this new opening of the church in New Jersey is gonna be clean of all their sins and forgiven.
Right.
So Matt Damon says to sorry. Ben Affleck says to Matt Damon's character, who are two angels who have been expelled from heaven, says, "All right, we just gotta go to this church, walk through the arches, and we're gonna be good, and we can go back to heaven." And then, well, Aaron Rickman visits this woman who works in an abortion clinic and tells her, "You're gonna find two people, and they're gonna help you because there are two angels who want to go back to heaven, but the thing is, God expelled them." And if they're going to go through the arches, they're going to go back to heaven. So they're going to kind of break God's rule of their expulsion. And if God's word isn't a rule anymore, nothing makes sense anymore, and the whole world's going to stop existing. Because if God's word isn't true anymore, nothing is true anymore.
Sure.
So she's got to stop them. And Matt Damon plays Loki, who's an angel who's kind of responsible for killing all sinners. Who kind of exterminated Sodom and Gomorrah. So he just kind of walks around the film for quite a bit and just he buys a huge gun, just walks up to people, and Ben Affleck, get them confused. All right. So Ben Affleck's
going on.
This is a huge fucking summary of the whole film. So Ben Affleck knows everybody's sins. And Matt Damon just starts killing every person he knows has sinned, and he just walks around the fucking earth killing people, and it's just this dumb fucking combo of those people, and there's Jay and Silent Bob, and I've been going on for way too long, but
this is a comedy, right?
Yeah, you're gonna know what I'm talking about if you know any Kevin Smith films, because they're just dumb and over the top, and they're always those two characters. Jay and Silent Bob, who are just two stoners, and Bob is played by the director Kevin Smith.
Yeah, but you said he plays Loki.
He plays
Doesn't he play Loki in Thor Ragnarok? Doesn't he play Loki there?
Well, Loki can impersonate. No, sorry. He plays in Thor Ragnarok. He plays a person who plays in a play about.
Sure. But he's Loki though.
No, Loki plays
he's Loki.
The father.
No. But Matt Damon plays Loki as he portrays Loki as the actor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So maybe that's a
You
reference
were,
to
yeah.
Dogma that I didn't even realize.
Yeah, if you don't know, you haven't seen Ragnarok or any Kevin Smith movie, you're gonna be way confused.
Yes.
But it's just a dumb movie, just a freaking premise of an angel
Sounds
employing an
it sounds very interesting.
abortion
yeah.
clinic worker. Yeah.
it's,
It's a trippy fucking movie.
yeah. All right. I mean, let's
Check
talk
it
about
out.
a trippy film on my number 9. It's We Bought a Zoo.
I haven't seen that one either. I didn't want to be honest.
I had to be honest with myself. But when I watched this like a year ago, I had the same like thoughts that you just had because like you didn't want to watch it because like people are bashing that film and like, do you remember that when I think it was like one of the Academy Awards that Kimmel hosted. I'm not sure, but there was like a Matt Damon segment where he just talked about his performance in We Bought a Zoo, just completely annihilating that performance. And that
Is it
sort
that
of
bad?
no, no. The movie is great. I'm not. This is without sarcasm at all. I thought this movie was absolutely great for what
But
it was.
Still just number 9.
Yeah. Well, yes. I like a lot of his
So
films.
it's not that great.
For what it is, it's quite good.
All right.
And there's one thing at the very, very end of the film where that sort of there's a phrase that is used in the film, I think once, and at the end it sort of comes back and explains why he used that phrase in the beginning or the earlier part of the film, and that gave me goosebumps. I thought that was a tremendous scene at the end that sort of explained that. It stars Scarlett Johansson as she sort of works at the zoo that Matt Damon takes over, and they develop a relationship that is not like a box standard romance. It's actually quite a nice relationship that they develop. Also, it stars Colin Ford, who is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated child actors. I don't know what he's been in recently. Obviously, this movie.
What has he been at all?
The movie that I saw with him that made me look him up was a movie called Disconnect. It's Jason
Flo kind of throwing out films that I've never heard of.
Disconnect. It's not a well-known film, but it stars Jason Bateman, and it's an incredible film. Genuinely, a film that I thought was tremendous. It's a drama that's centered around a group of people searching for human connections in today's wired world. I did not just read that from the IMDb summary, by the way. Just remember that. But he was also in We Bought a Zoo, which I didn't know until I saw it, and I recognized him straight away, and I thought he was great in this film as well. This is a very, very, it's a family film. It's they buy a zoo, and it's sort of about that. But I thought this was great. I genuinely think that this is a very, very underrated film just because everyone's shitting on it, and I think people should watch this. I think it's really, really good. And I had to be honest with myself here.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
And it's always more entertaining if we're honest and if we don't take the mainstream opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely not doing this with this list. Just one last. I mean, Matt Damon. He plays sort of a father who is then he's just a single father who raises 2 children, and it's it's a performance where he or a character where he shows a lot of range because he's excited to take over the farm. The boy doesn't want to be there. It's sort of about the drama between them, and it's got some very, very heartfelt moments as well. Check it out. Check it out. I think it's really good.
Well, now I'm more inclined to watch it.
Yeah, I genuinely think you would like this. Well, you would not hate this.
That's all right. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right.
What's your number?
We're in our number 8 spot, and on my number 8 spot, sorry,
That's right.
everybody, just please forget my fucking rant about Dogma. I think it was quite incomprehensible. So let's scratch that, right? Let's move on.
Yeah. Start another one.
All right. My number 8 spot is a film which Matt Damon is probably most known for, and that's Good Will Hunting. And I put it in my number 8 spot, and it was a hard decision because I actually didn't want to put it on my list at all.
I didn't put it on my list.
Yeah, good for you. I didn't like the movie, to be honest.
I think this is a
thought it was
controversial
fine.
statement.
I know, because it's probably one of his most liked films, and
Yes.
it's critically acclaimed, and he won an Oscar for Best Screenplay.
Yeah, he wrote it with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Crazy. And won.
And he plays the main role, and Ben Affleck also stars in the film. And I'm not a huge fan of the film, not at all, to be honest. I think there's quite a few flaws. It wasn't great, but it's a fine movie, and I get why people like it, and I put it on my number 8 spot before Deadpool 2. First of all, his role is bigger, and he wrote the fucking screenplay, and he won an Oscar for it. And Dogma it's a fun movie, and it just has a couple of ridiculous scenes. It's not a good movie either. I wasn't a huge fan of Dogma, to be honest, but it was fine. Good Will Hunting, also fine, but well, he wrote the screenplay, and he's kind of known for it, and it has a couple of good and very iconic scenes, especially like the chalkboard scene.
Yes. I mean, in my opinion, Robin Williams is sort of the reason why you watch the film.
Yeah. That's what I just wanted to say. He's the best part of the film, and his lines were kind of written by Matt Damon as well, and Ben Affleck, of course.
Sure.
But also, Robin Williams. Williams.
Robin Williams, yeah.
All right. Can also improvise quite a few of his lines, because that's what he's known for. And that's why everybody loves him. But yeah, it's one of his biggest films, and I thought, well, I didn't know what else to put on this list, so
I'm glad you put it on. I'm glad you put it on, because I think this is it's a movie that deserves to be on the list. I think so.
Yeah, but I don't understand hype, to be honest. It's a fine film, but it's not a great film, and I don't know to be honest, why the one best screenplay. I thought the dialogue is quite weak in most scenes, especially in the scenes between him and the psychiatrist, Robin Williams.
They're pretty good.
Those are quite good, but
it's not your
apart from
fault.
that, but the fucking how do you like them apples?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's now cheesier than it was back then, because obviously that was the movie that sort of started it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. You gotta give it credit. So
I'm just not a big fan of Minnie Driver, the love interest in this film.
Yeah,
I don't like her. I'm sorry, Minnie, if you listen.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think it's a great film, a great performance by Robin Williams. Not necessarily a great film. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, I might have liked it a bit more if it wasn't so overrated.
Sure.
So I don't know. I had high expectations. Oh, fuck.
It's late.
I would have liked it more if it wasn't so overrated.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
All right. My number 8, the last one on my list that is maybe not the second to last one that maybe not a lot of people have heard of. My number 8 is a movie called Hereafter.
All right.
A movie that is directed by Clint Eastwood. And it stars Matt Damon as sort of a psychic guy who is able to tell... I don't know if he's able to... is he able to tell... Have you seen this?
I haven't, sadly, no.
It's like it came out in 2010, so not too long ago. But it's sort of... Matt Damon is one of 3 people who is able to see certain things that other people are not able to see. And it's sort of... but like in a... they can communicate with dead people.
All right.
And so Matt Damon...
Sixth Sense. He's like the grown-up.
Sure. But it's like...
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
No, not Macaulay Culkin. I'm sorry.
Haley Joel Osment.
Yes, thank you.
But Matt Damon is sort of... He used to do it for money, and obviously people came to him and they asked him for his... talent, and then but when the movie starts, he sort of passed that, but his brother keeps asking him to do that because he wants the money as well, and he sort of always struggles when he does it because it's sort of it's a burden on him as well. It affects him as well if he looks into all these people's dead relatives and talks to them. It's obviously affecting him as well. But another story is like a child who, he's got a story with his brother, and there's an accident that happens there, and then the third one is like a French woman who similar to the movie The Impossible, where that tornado or that tsunami rather happened.
The Impossible?
Yeah, with
What's that?
Tom Holland and Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor.
Oh, didn't watch that.
It's directed by the same guy who did that Liam Neeson tree film. That
you mean shit.
This is what happens when we do this late. My brain doesn't work anymore.
Before something
Midnight Liam Neeson tree film. A Monster Calls.
A Monster Calls, yeah, sure.
Yeah. But to that French woman, there's also like I think it's a tsunami that happens, and she experiences, or she has a near-death experience or something, and is able to sort of have the same visions that Matt Damon has. I'm sorry if I if this is not exactly right, but it's sort of about the those three stories, and then they do intertwine towards the end of the film. It's a very, very weird Clint Eastwood film, because it's very, very different to all the Clint Eastwood films I've seen before that. It's very, very subdued. It's a very, very quiet film. But it looks great, and it's
Clint Eastwood films are quite quiet most of the time. I mean, his action is never that over the top as in like
true
Michael Bay or anything like that. He's
yes.
His main characters are mostly very quiet. If you look like at Gran Torino or
sure.
A Letter from Iwo Jima or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. But I still think it feels a bit. It doesn't feel like a Clint Eastwood film, but I think it's a great film that is very, very underrated and underseen, especially given the talent that's involved. Check it out. It's a sort of a sci-fi-ish, not really sci-fi, obviously about these sort of supernatural things there that these three people are able to see, and it's a very, very touching story. I think it's a film that more people should see. Hereafter.
Your list is going to be less mainstream than mine.
It's going to be more mainstream from now on.
All right.
It will be.
All right. We'll talk about it later, because there's a film that I want to watch so badly, but didn't get to. And I thought it might make your list, but
I don't think it will. Looking at my list now, I think you've seen everything bar one film. And I don't think you're talking about that one. What's your number 7?
Right. My number 7 is also a film that I didn't want to put at number 7. I think it's too high because it's a very beloved film, but I didn't like it that much. It's a good film. It's a fine film, but overrated.
Okay.
And that film is Saving Private Ryan.
Okay. Yeah.
Didn't make your list?
Didn't make my list either. Controversial again.
No, fair. I wouldn't have put it on my list if I had more films to put on there, to be honest.
I think it's a great film, though.
Yeah, well, it's always mentioned as one of the best war movies, and so realistic and so great. And the starting scene, the landing on the beach of Normandy,
yes,
great.
It is great.
But after that, it's quite a typical Hollywood war film, like a very over top, very patriotic. This band of guys, and it has quite a few issues, but especially towards the end, it gets too over the top. Let's be the good guys, protecting this bridge and giving our lives for everything, and being the American heroes that you imagined. Mm-hmm.
I think the ending is great. The reveal at the end, I think that's a great
It's quite
shot.
good. It's good, but like I said, it's a good film, and I liked it. But I think once again, I would have liked it more if it wasn't so overrated. I think I had a bit of an issue with the pedestal it was on, because everybody says like Saving Private Ryan, one of the best war films of all time. I wouldn't even put it in my top 5, to be honest.
I would. This is my number 11 on the list, and this was a tough cut for me. I really like it, and I like the moments where, like, obviously Tom Hanks is sort of the main star of the film, and I like the quiet moments between the soldiers there on their sort of path to find Matt Damon's character. And
I think they have a couple of nice moments, but I think once again, Matt Damon has quite a small role in the whole film.
Yeah,
but I still put him in a higher position than Deadpool 2, Dogma, Good Will Hunting, because I think it's just a better made movie, and I see what went into it. And I still, from all those movies, I still like it the most, except maybe Deadpool 2, but I can't really count it higher.
Yeah.
The number 10 spot. But yeah, it's a tough. It's tough to put in on number 7. And if you don't know, Saving Private Ryan is a World War II movie about Tom Hanks, this character who has to kind of deliver a message to Private Ryan.
Is it delivering a message or is it just bringing him back?
Yeah, and then his brother died in the war, and then to kind of they bring him back to kind of send him on leave, and he's kind of somewhere on the front, somewhere in France.
Yeah,
and they have to go deeper and deeper into Nazi enemy territory and bring him back.
Yes.
Yeah,
stars Vin Diesel.
It stars quite a few characters.
Yeah.
Like, I keep forgetting his name. Who's like in Avatar and My Name is Earl and
Giovanni Ribisi?
Yes.
Ribisi?
Thank you.
Sure.
That's his name. But yeah, it's a fine film. It's a good film. I think most people would love it more than me because I know how well beloved this film is.
Yeah.
And it's well made. It's high budget.
Sure.
Very realistic and yeah.
I'm kind of on the same page as you. I do think it's ironic because it's not on my list. I do think it's a better film than it seems like you do, but I kind of do also don't think it's as good as people say it is.
Yeah.
But it's got some great scenes, and also Matt Damon being a small part is the reason why it's not on my list.
Yeah. I think it has more great scenes than like really great moments, or like
I do
on the
think
bigger scale it's not as good.
I do think it's better than 1917, which I know you don't.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I love 1917.
No, I thought it was great too, but you know, I do think Saving Private Ryan is better.
I think 1917 was just more realistic, and I just love the low vibe of it.
Yeah.
And just keeping it simple.
No, I know, of course I know, but
it made you feel more that war is real and this is how it looks, you know?
Yes, but like every Tom Hanks film, I sort of have that suspension of disbelief. I'm watching a Tom Hanks film, but I'm also always on board. You know, I don't need it to be that immersive and realistic. I just, I'm watching a great Tom Hanks film. That's sort of enough for me.
Yeah, but I think my problem once again is the hype, and as it's kind of praised as this realistic war movie and like one of the greats.
Yeah,
and it's not. I'm not saying it's not one of the greats, but it's not like a realistic war movie. It's very over the top and very. I mean, it seems kind of real. Yeah, it's cheesy. That's might be the right word. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. I can understand what you mean.
But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. My number 7 is, and I'm just going to pick the first one. I'm going to pick Bourne, Supremacy.
All right.
Is that the first one? No, that's completely wrong. Identity. Bourne Identity. Sure. Is that on your list? No. Wow.
I'm not a fan of Bourne.
Not a fan of Bourne.
No.
This was tough for me.
Not the kind of action movie that I like.
I don't understand that. It's like that's like the epitome of a good action film, like in terms of hand-to-hand combat and.
No. Terrible camera, terrible fight scenes, and just I don't care about the story.
Is a tough fucking thing.
It's
to say.
Shaky as fuck.
It is shaky as fuck.
But I can't see anything.
It's Paul Greengrass. That's his style.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, it's not I don't like the style. I can't see anything. I just get dizzy. I can't. The fight scenes don't seem real. It just seems like somebody's just shaking the camera to make it seem real, and it just cuts a million times, and I just get disoriented. And I think that's kind of their goal, to make it seem fast-paced, but I think it's just a bad style. I think that's... I'm sorry, I'm going on. I have so many things that I don't like about it. I don't like the story. I love the acting. I think there's so many plot holes and so many things that don't make sense, and there's so many things that I don't care about. I hate it. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It's just one of those action films that I just don't like at all. But I don't like action films in general.
Yeah.
They're exceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, Mad Max Fury Road. Dude, what a movie. But yeah, I'm sorry. But This is your pick.
No, it's all good. I mean, I don't think there's a lot to say about Bourne because I think it's just it needs to be on the list because it showed Matt Damon in an entirely new light from what he did
might
before
be
that.
one of his more or most successful franchises or
Sure.
films in general.
Yeah,
There's a huge following of like Bourne, and people love those films. And I think I might give the wrong impression because I'm not a fan of those films in general.
No, I'm just saying that there's not a lot to be said just in terms because everyone has probably seen it. That's what I meant by that. I think people know Bourne, and I know that, and they know what they get when they watch those films. It's just a guy who doesn't know that he has certain abilities, finds out about them, and then sort of a story about him finding out who the hell he is. And there's a lot of combat on the way, but in my opinion, it's well done combat. I know what you're saying about the shaky cam. I think you raise good points there. I'm not the biggest fan of that either, but it's sort of it's the Bourne style, and I'm always a fan if a certain franchise has a certain style and it sticks to it, and it's sort of recognizable as that. Just you watch a scene and you know that's going to be Bourne, and I think that's sort of something to.
I guess my problem with Bourne is I couldn't tell you what the story is about. I've seen all the films like twice because I seen them the first time I saw them. I liked them because I was quite young, and then I rewatched them like 3 years ago, and I still couldn't tell you what the story is about.
Well, it's about him sort of figuring out who he is.
Yeah, apart from that,
yeah,
what the organization is called and how it kind of comes to that, and the other characters.
Yeah.
Could you tell me one character except like Jason Bourne?
Yes.
All right.
There's Julia Childs. No, what's her name?
All right. I remember the actress, but I don't really remember her role. She's like in the intelligence center, like doing stuff, calling people.
Julia Child is the one that Meryl Streep and Amy Adams played in Julia. Who am I thinking of? Styles. Julie Styles.
Yeah. Right. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah. Other characters? Well, there's the Brian Cox character, of course.
Yeah, but he's like the leader. What's his role?
All the villains as well. You got.
Yeah, but like the whole thing. Who is Jason Bourne? I don't remember. Why is he the person that he is? He's like a super agent, but why?
It's David Webb, isn't that his name?
Sure, if you say so. I wouldn't remember.
Jason Bourne, real name. What did I say?
Jason Webb?
David Webb.
David Webb.
Yeah, here we go. That's right. David Webb.
All right. No, good for you. Maybe I don't remember a lot of it just because I didn't like it, but yeah.
I'm sort of tipping my toes around it because I don't know too much about it either. I don't remember too much. It's been a while since I've seen this, but yeah.
But I think I might be in the wrong here because I know a lot of people love those movies.
There's no right or wrong here. You might be in the minority.
Guess, yeah.
Let's move along. We're already
Good Will Hunting and Saving Private Ryan. But
yes, controversial list. And this is what I'm telling you. This is a controversial list.
Yeah. So let's move on to a good action film. Elysium.
Wow. Not on my list.
All right. Elysium is a film by Neil Blomkamp.
Yes.
A South African director, and we've talked about him before when I talked about Chappie.
Yeah.
And Elysium is kind of this dystopian future where all the poor people get left behind on Earth and live in those huge slums, and then somewhere in the sky there's this big space station where all the rich people live.
Yes.
And they have those machines. Yeah. And they have those machines where if you get sick, you just lay down one of those beds, they diagnose you and they heal you and you're fine.
Yeah.
And they can heal pretty much anything. And he's down on Earth, he's a poor guy, and then he kind of gets dragged into some shit and he gets implanted with this exoskeleton suit, and now he's kind of a super soldier, and they want him to get to Elysium, the ring, that space station where all the rich people live. And it's this sci-fi big scale, well, not big scale, but like big action as in just great effects, and good action as in you kind of see what they do and they don't just kind of cut around and shake the camera like fucking crazy. And I like it because it's simple, and I like my action films simple. I don't like people doing stupid one-liners and pretend like they're the coolest person ever.
Yeah.
I like them when they're kind of subdued and they do the things that they do because they have to, as in Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max in that film,
Stop
he
talking
does
about
what he
Mad
does
Max.
because, it's just the epitome of a good action film for
I
me.
disagree.
I just love the film
Opening
because,
boxes.
yeah, they both of them they don't talk a big deal. They do what they do because they have to, and good action, good gunplay. It's just fun to watch.
Just for the record, the action in the film is incredible in
Yeah.
Mad Max, but actually, the film overall is not as good as everyone
Amazing.
else says. No.
It's the simplicity of Mad Max Fury Road that's amazing, and I can watch it so many times, and I've watched it like 4 times, and I love it each time. I can't
Sure.
get enough.
Sure.
But yeah, Elysium, same thing. Great action. No, not the same thing. It's not as good as Mad Max Fury Road, but it's a good action film as in just simple action.
Yeah.
With 2 people get in a fight and they do it well with some sci-fi elements.
Is
A
that with-
simple story. It's
Is
got
that
some
with Shalto. Sorry, with Shalto.
shallow play.
Yeah.
Always.
Always.
The
It's in every
book
Blomkamp
also has
film.
shallow
Shalto, no? There's a T in there.
Coldplay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Coldplay,
South African
like the
actor.
album, yeah, like the band.
Cool
Shelter
actor.
Coldplay. Yeah. I like Elysium. I like Elysium. Haven't seen it since the theaters. I owned it on Blu-ray and still haven't watched it again. But I remember liking it. it. And as you said, I just think the story is quite cool. This sort of looming thing in the sky that everyone wants to get to. But yeah.
No. I think just Matt Damon has this kind of cool role, and he's buff as fuck in this film.
And isn't he bald as well in this one?
Shaved head, but not. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, buffed. That's absolutely right.
But I saw it the last time. I saw it in the cinemas, and then I rewatched it like 2 years ago. But when I watched it in the cinemas, I didn't think that I would like it as much.
Okay.
But I was surprised, and I ended up loving it. It's
What,
a fun film.
in the theater, or when you rewatched it?
In a theater, and then when I rewatched it, I was like, all right, I remember liking this film, but since then I'm quite quick. I've grown to be careful with action films, but it still holds up. Still a good film.
Yeah. All right, my number 6 now is this is going to be another controversial thing. I mean, The Adjustment Bureau.
All right.
Which you saw like a couple of years ago, months
and I
ago.
hated it.
I didn't think you hated it. I thought you just didn't like it. And I love that film.
I really didn't like it when I saw it, and the more I think about it, the more I hate it.
I love that film. I rewatched it a couple of months ago, and it's sort of, it wasn't as great as the previous couple of times I watched it, but this is just one of those romances that work for me completely.
Really?
Absolutely. Matt Damon falls in love with Emily Blunt. He sort of loses her phone number because, the story is sort of, there's a higher power that sort of, they are in charge of the plan that everyone, the life plan that everyone has. And they are sort of in charge of making sure that plan, comes to fruition. Yeah. So, and that plan didn't want Matt Damon's character and Emily Blunt's character to meet again. So they intervened there. And that was, they literally like, they're people, and then they freeze everything, and then they steal certain things, and just to make sure that these things don't happen. But Matt Damon's love for Emily Blunt is so strong. Gabe, I don't know if you remember this. He keeps looking for her. He keeps looking for her. He wants to find her again. And then someone slips up. I think it's Anthony Mackie's character. And then they're able to meet again. And then they intervene again, and blah, blah, blah. It's a very, very, the premise is outrageous. I mean, there's a sci-fi element to this. And but just I think the relationship between the two of them is great. He's also running for something. He's like one of a famous politician. Her name is, I think, Elise in this is what I remember. I don't remember his name right now. But it's sort of about them, finding each other and the people who are in the way of them. I love Adjustment Bureau. I really do. That's all I can say.
I think there's like one great scene in there. I think that's from this film because
Which one?
like you said, he runs for some form of office, mayor or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gets this illusion with all his politician things, and then he kind of stands up on the stage and says like, you know, that started off being kept telling you it isn't even true. Some speechwriter wrote this for me. And then he says like, even the tie that I'm wearing, the colors are purposely chosen for this speech. And since then, I've always looked at ties from politicians and like, there's a fucking reason, because the more you look at it, like Republican politicians wear red ties,
Sure.
and Democratic politicians wear blue ties a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's probably true, and it's like this little detail that it kind of points out.
Yeah.
That I love, and just he tells this childhood story that seems like, all right, that's his character, but he kind of admits that, dude, that's not even true. And now from the point that I saw this film on, I just thought about every fucking thing some politician or somebody said. So I thought there's a high fucking chance there's like a speech written by somebody else, and the
Absolutely.
reason that the person says this is because they want to win votes. But it seems like such a weird thing, because they tell a real story, which seems even more disingenuous and makes you hate politicians even more. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to hate politicians, but yeah, it gives you one more.
Yeah, I all I heard from that, what you just said, is there's a great scene in the film. I completely agree.
Yeah, sure.
What's your number 5?
So my number 5 is a film that I hope it's somewhere on your list, because I think it's a great film, and it's a great role.
Okay.
And I always do this fucking huge setup, so I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Yes.
It's True Grit.
Wow.
A Coen brother film. And
Yeah.
have you seen it?
Yes, I watched it today.
And did you like it?
I thought it was
It's
okay.
the first time you saw it today?
Yes.
And?
No. Not on my list.
What do you mean? What do you mean no?
It's like a 6 out of 10. It's fine. It's just a Coen Brothers film, you know. I didn't understand a word
It's
that fucking. I didn't understand a word Jeff Bridges uttered in this whole film. Not a word.
What?
He grunted the whole thing. Then you got Barry Pepper, who I didn't understand a word of. Then you got Haley Seinfeld, who's great, you know. But Matt Damon, the other one, he's got some sort of accent. Then he gets a fucking teeth knocked out. Then he's got a lisp, or he's got a jaw that hurts, so he can't even understand anything he says anymore. It's just a bunch of people mumbling and a bunch of people shooting people on horses.
Mumbling.
You know, it's fine. It's one of the big ones that I was missing. It's one of the big ones I was missing. I watched it now, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But sorry. Go on.
Dude, it's great. You don't like some of the films that I mentioned, and I don't like some films that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes some good conversation. But True Grit, it's a remake of an older film. It's a Western. And in this film, Matt Damon plays a Texas Ranger.
LaBeef.
Yeah.
I know it because I saw it.
And they look for a wanted criminal.
Yes.
Josh Brolin.
Yes.
And I think I am not a huge Western fan in general, to be honest. It's a fine setting, to be honest. But there are a couple of great Westerns out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how they portray the setting and how people would be as in this desolated area, and people just do what they have to do, and law is made by a person, not by a government.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that premise and just how they portray it, and just love Jeff Bridges' role as in he's this old ex-law enforcement guy who gets kind of pushed into doing one more job. And Matt Damon's counterpart as in this young, up-and-coming, very convinced like Texas Ranger who wants to get those guys, and he's just so behind that. And I just love his role. I love how serious he is in this film, although it's just a bit of a ridiculous film in parts. For example, the scene where he kind of gets his teeth knocked out, and then, he has this lisp or weird sound that he makes for the rest of the film, and that's what I love about this film. I mean, one of the greatest parts of the film is the young girl, Haley something.
Steinfeld, yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's good, yeah.
Amazing.
She's good. She was now in the Bumblebee film recently.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Well,
Once
yeah,
again,
no,
one of
just-
the
yeah.
kind of action films that I'm not into.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's a great film, especially if you like westerns and just how they portray those kind of films. It's kind of a good take on it. And yeah, I think his role is just perfect. He was well cast, and he's a bit different than his normal roles. He's not this very confident. He's this overly confident guy who just thinks he's in the right, and I just
Yes.
love that.
No, I agree. I think his casting was a great choice. I think he played the part very, very well, and he's got some funny lines in it that made me chuckle a little bit. But overall,
It's a kind of a good balance that Coen Bros have at times, and sometimes sadly they don't, as in serious topics, but like dumb dialogue, as in it seems real. Somebody could say that, and it just would de-escalate the whole situation just because somebody is that stupid and funny at the same time. You know what I mean?
yeah, sure. But I'm just not the biggest Coen Brothers fan. There's a couple of films that I really like, but most of the films are sort of like okay to me, and that's
I
sort
wouldn't
of
say
one
I'm
of
a
those.
fan either. There are also films, a couple of films that I don't like.
Yeah.
Raising Arizona.
Yeah, opening boxes. I'm sorry.
no.
I'm sorry. We got to keep this going. Dude.
Yeah, number 5. Let's go.
All right, honesty.
It's
number
so funny
5.
because usually on our list somebody says like number 7, and then we
Yeah.
kind of save the conversation for later. But
Yes,
on this list we have had
haven't had that once.
no films that we had in common so far, which
Yeah.
is something new for us.
Yes,
Makes it a long list.
yes.
Or long
Yeah, we
episode.
gotta speed up,
Alright.
speed up a little bit. My number 5 is a movie called Promised Land.
I want to watch this as well, but didn't get to.
It's another one of those films, dude, that a lot of people hate. It's directed by Gus Van Sant, who also did Good Will Hunting. And it's also written by Matt Damon and John Krasinski, a guy that I know you like as well. And we talked about him on the show with the Some Good News and stuff. So these two guys, I hope that's right. I'm looking this up. I think that both of them wrote this. Promised Land. Here we go. Written by, it's by John Krasinski and Matt Damon. And it stars also John Krasinski and Matt Damon. And you got Frances McDormand in there.
Nice.
Yes. And Hal Holbrook, I think, is in this. And what's the guy's name who plays Bosch? Have you seen that lawyer drama? Not lawyer, but that show. Bosch?
with the guy from the Fargo series.
Oh my! He's
Season
got
1.
such a good name. Oh, that's such a trivia question right
Thornton for Billy Bob Thornton.
now. No, that's not the one I mean. I know what you're talking. I know what, and you. I know
Isn't that
exactly.
Bosch?
No, that's the other lawyer show on Amazon. I know exactly what the one you're thinking of. I think you're thinking of Goliath,
Yeah, that's right.
but he's called Titus Welliver. Yes,
Nice.
didn't look it up. Probably
Great name.
mispronounced it, but that's the guy. He was also he
That's
was
a
in
great fuck name.
Yes, he was in Lost as well. Anyway, this is a story about like fracking, where people are. This is a movie that takes turns that I didn't quite expect. I want to be quite vague here, but I think how best. Do you know the setting of the film? Do you know anything about the film?
Basic. I know it's also like all companies and like not all companies like fracking, like you said, which it's kind of oil.
Yeah.
But I don't know a lot about it, to be honest.
Well, Matt Damon and Frances McDormand and I think Titus Welliver, however you pronounce his name, they work together and they sort of go around the countryside and then telling people that if they let their company do their fracking there, they're going to be rewarded for it. And then certain people like don't want to do that, and they're trying to persuade them to do it. But then halfway through the film, Matt Damon has his doubts of if this actually is a good thing for this community, if people come here and sort of devastate the countryside due to the fracking. this is a film that has a lot of great laughs in it, just because of Frances McDormand and the relationship that she has with Titus Welliver. It's got some great acting from Matt Damon and Krasinski as well. He comes into the film quite late, but he's got a great part in the film. And the main thing about this film, well, not the main thing, but the soundtrack of the film, they play 2 songs, I think, from the Milk Carton Kids. That doesn't need to mean anything to you. But that is a band that I've been listening to for years, and I didn't think that anyone had this band on their radar. And then they just sort of had 2 songs in a film from like 2012 or something. And when the first like chord of the song came on, I was like, "Is that the Milk Carton Kids?" No way! And that sort of made me fall in love with the film. It's sort of a little thing that sort of meant a whole lot to me. So the soundtrack is great, and check this out. There's another one that people are underrating, in my opinion, and it's got great writing, great story, great music, great acting. Bam!
All right.
Promise
I love it
Land.
when films have a certain song in them.
Yeah,
They make the whole film better.
absolutely.
All right, my number 4 is gonna be on your list, definitely. We're gonna finally have something in common,
Okay,
and it's a talented Mr. Ripley.
not on my list.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Not on my list.
I know how much you love this film. How
I
is
don't
it
love
not
I don't
on
love
your
this
list?
film. I don't love
What?
this film. I never said that I love this
Philip
film.
Seymour Hoffman, what?
Yeah, I love
Oh,
Philip
so
Seymour
sure.
Hoffman. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't love the talented Mr. Ripley.
All right.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was great, but I didn't
All
love
right.
it.
I have to say before I start, I haven't seen this film in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But I remember loving it. And I just rewatched the trailer to kind of get reacquainted with the story. And just this great film of Matt Damon, who's a guy who starts impersonating other people and kind of takes over their lives, and that's kind of his whole personality. He just takes other people's lives and identities and just lives off of that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the whole film great. It's this guy, and he has this great quote in the film, and he says, "I'd rather be a fake somebody than a nobody in real life," or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just such a great line, and just keeps impersonating people who are better than him, who've achieved more than him, and in the start he's quite insecure.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry, but actually impersonating maybe comes across as sort of like he pretend like he literally like assumes, as you said before, but he assumes their identity, and
he says their name is his name, and he went to the same college as the other person, and he just literally says that he is that person, and says he's like this rich guy, and he's such a smooth talker, and he just assumes the speaking patterns of the other person just to be the other person. Because like I just said, he starts off quite shy and then just starts impersonating other people and becomes more confident and more successful. But then people kind of see what he's doing and start seeing through his facade.
Yep.
And that's what makes the whole film interesting, you know?
Yeah, so the main guy he sort of tries to assume his identity of is then Jude Law.
Jude Law, yeah. And whose girlfriend is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman also has a
then
great
he
part.
later seduces a woman, Kate Blanchett, and he seduces her by pretending his identity is the identity of Jude Law's character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so
a dark film. Dark film.
Yeah, it's like this dark thriller. And I'm so surprised it's not on your list, because I know how much you like thrillers, and I know how much you love Philip Seymour Hoffman, and this just checks so many boxes that I thought it's going to be very high on your list. But
no, I remember us talking about the film quite a lot because it came up on a lot of trivia nights that we had. But I know I never said that I loved the film. I thought it was good, but not much more than that.
Dude, we're number 4 and we haven't had any films in common so
now
far.
We'll have. Oh, this is. I'm not sure. Well, now we do. Now we will. Now we will. My number 4 is The Departed.
All right, it's going to be high on my list.
Yes,
finally.
Fair enough.
All right.
So now we're going to save the discussion for when we get to it on Gabe's list. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Ford vs Ferrari.
It's my number 3.
All right, perfect.
Perfect.
So
Didn't think it was going to be that high on your list.
I didn't think so either, but then I kind of started thinking about it, and then I was like, Talent, Mr. Ripley, True Grit, and Ferrari were very hard for me. I
Yeah.
didn't know which film is going to take which place.
Yes.
And I think the reason why I put Ferrari on such a high place is because it's the most recent film
Yes.
from all those three. And I just remember loving it. And I remember you saw it during a film festival.
Toronto, yeah.
And then we watched it again in the
Yes.
cinema. And it just gives you such a good film while watching it. I don't like racing at all in real life.
Same.
But that kind of film makes me want to watch racing. And it makes me like, dude, I want to see more and be more involved. And then as soon as I leave the theater, I remember that I fucking hate racing. It's boring as fuck.
Yeah.
But it just makes you feel like this is interesting. And his character is just so witty. I mean,
So
I'm sure
funny,
you have a
yeah.
lot to talk about. But yeah, just his relationship with his wife and his
Son.
friend.
Yeah. Or his friend, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this that was the first film that I saw at the Toronto Film Festival. And, just being there was sort of crazy to me. And then to get to watch this film was special to me because I really, really love the film. And if you don't know, it's about Ken Miles. It's a true story about Ken Miles, who's played by Christian Bale, and Shelby. What's his first name?
Tom
Is it
Shelby?
Tom
No.
Shelby?
No,
that's
Tom
the guy from
Shelby's
Peaky
somewhere
Blinders.
else. Yeah.
That's
an American name.
And
Dave.
Shelby. And God damn it, Ford v Ferrari. Looking up so many unnecessary things here. Cast Carol Shelby.
All right. Wouldn't have guessed in a million years, but sure.
But basically, they're trying to beat Ferrari, and by tuning a Ford car to, be able to beat the Ferrari car at Le Mans in '66, a big race. And I think this is one of it's so funny to me because this is not a comedy. This is a very straightforward drama about the friendship that these two guys have, and then obviously the racing. But to me, this is one of the funniest films of the last year. Some of the scenes are, because I'm always a fan of films that are not comedies that have comedic elements in it.
Yeah. Those are the best comedies, always.
Absolutely. And, just the scene with, the scenes that Matt Damon has with Tracy Letts' character who plays Henry Ford.
Yeah.
I think they are absolutely fantastic. And I could quote them now, but it's funnier if you see them. And it's just beautifully shot. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Beautifully shot, the racing scenes. It's directed by James Mangold, who did Logan recently, and he's now going to do the new Indiana Jones film.
It just makes you feel like
great film.
there. Like you're in the car. Especially we watched it in IMAX.
Oh, dude.
With the whole sound and the picture. It just makes you feel, because there are some shots shot from like the driver's perspective, like you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Or like in the car.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes you feel like you're there. The whole room vibrated, and you just have this feeling of speed.
Yeah,
And
the
that's-
music is so great as well.
It just makes you feel like things are going faster and faster, and kind of gets you. You feel like something's about to happen. Just there's this incredible speed, and you're like, how could they not crash at this moment? And that's that excitement which makes the film even greater.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to Rush, which also, because I like
Sure. Yeah.
you said, I'm not a big racing fan at all. I pretty much think it's the most boring sport out there. But both Rush and Ford vs. Ferrari sort of really, really got me. I think they're absolutely fantastic. And the editing as well in the racing scenes. There's like a couple of shots where Matt Damon is sort of standing because Christian Bale he plays the driver, and Matt Damon is sort of off to the side, but he's like telling him when to shift gears, but like just to himself, if that makes sense. He's just like, all right, do it now. But then that cut perfectly in between where he actually does it now, and it's just the music kicks in. It's absolutely sick. Yeah. Terrific film.
All right. We're at the number 2 spot. I think we're going to have the same film again, because I know what's going to be your number 1.
Okay.
So my number 2 is The Martian.
Yeah. That's higher on my list.
It is. Wow. All right.
Yeah, I think you're... I'm confused as to what you think, but...
The only thing that's left.
Well, my number 2 is Ocean's 11.
All right, I thought it was going to be your number 1 because I know how much you love Oceans.
Yeah. I did. This is also for time reasons, but there's not. I don't want to say much about Oceans. We talked about it on the Brad Pitt special because it also was up there for me. It's just for me the epitome of cool. It is. It's just the epitome. I could have picked Oceans 11 or 13, 12. I also like, but either 11 or 13. I think Matt Damon actually has more to do in 13. But I just
still
picked...
not a lot because Oceans 13 is the film that I rewatched.
Oh yeah,
because it's the only Ocean film that I've only seen once.
Yes.
And his role in that film wasn't that interesting, to be honest. And it was kind of weird because he kind of drags a woman to kind of seduce her, which I felt felt kind of wrong. Yeah.
Yes, you could say that.
Nose, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't want to think about that now because then I need to pick something else. Once again, I just had to be honest about it. This. If we're talking about Matt Damon, this is one of the first films that springs to mind, and it's just him always being belittled by Brad Pitt and George Clooney all the way through the whole series, and just it's a great dynamic, and it's just those are just films that I absolutely adore, and I had to put it on there. Oceans, if you know it. That's all I'm going to say on that. So,
all right,
what's your number? Your 2 was The Martian, was that?
Yeah.
So I know your 1.
Yeah.
Because we talked. Yeah.
So you want to talk about The Martian or my number 1 first?
I'll talk about your number 1.
All right. My number 1 is The Departed.
Yeah.
And I just want to say my number 2 and my number 1 are interchangeable. Because the reason why I picked Departed as my number 1 is just because The Departed is probably my favorite Martin Scorsese film as well. And I'm a huge fan of Martin Scorsese because who isn't?
Yeah.
And The Departed is just a great film of just great actors bringing their A game and just great story. And I mean, I know it's an adapted film. I know it's originally a Korean action thriller.
Yeah. Infernal
drama.
Affairs, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just such a great film shot from different perspectives if you don't know what the film's about, it's plays in Boston, and it's about an undercover cop who tries to infiltrate the Irish mob, and the Irish mob has a double agent in the police who investigates the mob, and he kind of helps them, and that role of the kind of double agent is played by Matt Damon. And his boss is Jack Nicholson, and the undercover cop who tries to infiltrate the mob is Leonardo DiCaprio, and the police chief is Michael Sheen, and his second-hand guy is Mark Wahlberg, and it's just packed full of talent.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin is in this as well.
Alec Baldwin, he kind of leads the investigation of the Irish mob, and just...
Vera Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga, the love interest.
Yeah, is she a psychologist? I think.
Yeah, she's a psychologist, a police psychologist who gets involved with Matt Damon and then also with DiCaprio, and they don't know that. Like Matt Damon tries to find out who the undercover cop is.
Yeah,
and DiCaprio tries to kind of infiltrate the mafia or the Irish mob, and then kind of tries to figure out also who's like the double agent because shit keeps going wrong.
Yes,
there must be some kind of informant that. Alec Baldwin, who kind of leads the investigation, just trusts Matt Damon the most, and nobody trusts DiCaprio because he's from this kind of poor family, but he's like the most pure cop out there. And it's just such a great fucking film. Just DiCaprio's great, Jack Nicholson great, and just Matt Damon's role of playing this double agent who's just tries to impress everybody and just this perfect guy and just plays like the perfect cop, and he just seems too good to be true, and he is. He just is, and he just is part of this crime family. I don't know. It's a great film. It's just fucking amazing. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. It was my number 4, I think. Yeah. I think this is one of the most accessible Scorsese films. This is sort of one of the more straightforward ones, even though the story is not like straightforward. And I don't mean that, but it's quite a complicated story. But it is more in line of all these like regular action thrillers. And maybe a bit less artsy than other Scorsese films. Maybe, I'm not sure. Not in a disrespectful way, but I love those. I love the other films as well. I'm just saying that I think this is more like a more accessible one. And yeah, I mean, just the elevator scene towards the end. I mean,
and the thing is, The Martian, I want to pick The Martian as my number one. It was originally my number one because Matt Damon is the lead actor. The part isn't. He isn't the lead actor, but The Part is just
one of them. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fucking great film and just one of the greatest crime films of all time, in my opinion.
Wow, yeah, I don't.
Just so many great scenes. Just Mark Wahlberg giving shit to DiCaprio and and Matt Damon, as in Wahlberg just thinks like DiCaprio is like from a crime family, so he's probably shit, and Matt Damon is just too good to be true, and he's just kind of the only one who sees behind a charade.
Yeah.
And there's so many great lines just when DiCaprio tries to order cranberry juice, and I know that it's not about Matt Damon, but still.
Sure.
Great. Great. I just love it so much.
Yeah, I don't love it as much as everyone else does. I do need to watch it again. It's been a while. But I obviously, I mean, it's my number 4. I do think it's a terrific film, but
it's a film that survives a rewatch.
It survives a rewatch?
Yeah, there's so many films that seem great at first, especially when they're kind of about intrigue, and when you know what's going to happen, they're less enjoyable, but it's still a good film, and I've seen it like 5 times or more, and it's still a fucking great film.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watch it again, but I completely agree with everything you said. I mean, Jack Nicholson is haunting in this film.
One of his best roles of all time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's fucking Jack Nicholson.
It is.
The most acclaimed Academy Award winner of all time.
Yeah.
He's like 3 Oscars.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think he's one of the most award-winning male actors, as an Academy Award-winning actors.
Okay. I believe it. Yes. My number 1 is The Martian.
Yeah. And I know why.
It wasn't even a question to me.
Yeah.
Because Oceans, as you said, I mean, he's the lead in The Martian.
Yeah.
We saw this one together for the first time. And I have watched it so many times since. And just as I said with Ford versus Ferrari, I think Matt Damon is one of the most brilliant comedic actors who's not a comedic actor.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes in The Martian are still one of my favorite comedic moments. And once again, this is not a comedy by any means. This is just a guy who's trying to survive.
Well, it won Best Comedy at the Golden Globes.
It did, yeah, but you know, much to everyone's fucking, everyone made fun of that being nominated for that. But yeah, even Ridley Scott.
To everyone's chagrin.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was the right word, but I was thinking about that word.
I think so. Yeah.
But it's just about a guy. He's left behind on Mars because his crew thought he was dead, and then it's sort of about him, surviving and turning composite into potatoes. He's basically sciencing the shit out of this. He's doing everything. He's a botanist, and he's sort of figuring out ways to survive, and it's just absolutely amazing in my opinion. It's got the sci-fi element down to a T. There's some incredible scenes there with the storm at the beginning, the whole rescue mission there, where
botany has never seemed so cool.
It never has, and just the whole way of how Ridley Scott sort of portrayed him being there and never giving up, and the cuts in between. Like, I wonder what he's doing right now, being desperate up there, like back at NASA. They're thinking, what's he doing? And he's just up there, like listening to hot stuff that he found in a crate of music that was left behind. And he's just dancing to that while he's got a fucking thing of plutonium in the back of his car, sweating his ass off. It's just amazing.
Just the scenes where he listens to music, because Jessica Chastain, who's the captain of the mission, got to choose the music, so she chose a playlist of pop music or disco music, and he absolutely hates it.
Yes,
and he just gets more and more into it.
Was it Chastain or was it Mara who left the music?
I think it's Chastain.
I think
because she was the captain.
Yeah.
And
I'm
just he gets more and more into it, and he just keeps listening to it because there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Dude, how great! Just the ABBA soundtrack in the background at times.
Yeah, I think it's Waterloo, is it? I think that's the one. That
Waterloo.
Yeah. Couldn't skip if I wanted to.
Also, I was so surprised because they had one David Bowie song in it, and it wasn't Life on Mars.
Yeah.
It was Starman, but still a great song for a great scene, but still.
Yeah. That's right, they should have used
And
Life on Mars.
Where he did the fucking Iron Man thing.
Yeah, towards the end. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's
All
what I'm
perfect.
saying. The sci-fi elements of it are
Yeah.
great as well. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is, but it just...
Very accurate. I think the whole film is incredibly accurate, except for the storm at the beginning. Because
What Neil deGrasse Tyson said it. Didn't it?
Yeah. Also, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, and I might have picked it as my number one, and I kind of regret it not picking him as my number one because it would have just been funny. But
Yeah, I mean...
dude,
yeah.
what a great film! But I think the reason why I put it as my number two is I watched it again,
Yeah.
and it's still a fucking great movie, but the comedy scenes don't hit as hard the second time.
Sure. Because you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of the best scenes. Like, I'm gonna science the shit out of it, or botany something, and where he grows potatoes, and they look at it like what he's doing, and his potatoes, and he's just so proud showing his potatoes off.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
It's like colonizing the planet, isn't it? Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's the definition. That
I'm a
also
pirate,
he's-
or space
he's a pirate.
pirate,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a space pirate. This is the first space pirate.
yeah.
Dude.
But I genuinely believe this is his best performance. As Mark Watney, just stranded there, his
performance-wise,
desperation. He should be so desperate, but he's just trying to fucking make the best out of it, just trying to stay positive, even though he's stranded there for weeks upon weeks, months, however long he's up there.
Yeah, and I think the film just scratches so many itches, as in what you want to see from a movie, just the comedy, and especially I just love sci-fi and space and the way it is portrayed, and just this enthusiasm about the whole thing just wants me, I'd love to go to space and just, I don't know, the whole premise of him surviving alone out in nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just so compelling.
It is. I mean, we haven't even talked about the other actors in this. I mean, this is a
Yeah,
stellar cast.
Yeah, Sean Bean, Donald Glover,
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. I mean, you could keep going. This is, you got Jeff Daniels. He's the head of NASA. You got
Michael Pena.
Donald Glover, Michael Pena, Sebastian Stan, who's the Winter Soldiers in this. It's one of his earlier roles, I guess. Well, I don't know how early, but he wasn't as well known, maybe. Well, that was actually after the Winter Soldier. I'm talking rubbish, but yeah, I mean, a great cast and a terrific film.
Just a great film in general, because after we saw this film, we did our first best film of the year list, which we've done every year since, and it was our
Collective
favorite
number
film
one.
of the year. And I think after the film ended, we just looked at each other and just said, "Dude, it's gonna be one of the best films."
Yeah, well,
And it
we
was,
gave it. I
and
think
it
we
is.
both gave it a 9 after that
Yeah.
straight away. Yeah.
It's a strong 9.
It's a 10 for me, dude. I mean, obviously, maybe
get
no
it.
film is perfect, but this is one of those for me.
Yeah, it's close to perfect. Yeah.
All right, dude. Let's fucking hell. This is one hell
Yeah.
of a long episode. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to talk about real quick?
Not
I mean,
honorable, but a film that I would love to have seen is The Good Shepherd, just because it was
I started watching
directed
it
by Robert De Niro and also stars him.
I started watching
I would
it
love to see it
for this
Yeah.
for this podcast.
Ah.
It's 2 hours and 47 minutes. I did not finish it, and I was like, I'm not going to sit through this, but it's
I would
interesting.
love to see it.
Yeah, same. I mean,
Yeah, and The Informant is also a film that I would.
I did not
to
like
see.
The Informant.
Yeah,
No,
all right.
I didn't like it, even though I'm a fan of Soderbergh, who did Oceans and stuff, but I did not like The Informant.
But yeah, I think this is a very controversial list.
It
And
is.
also, just we have so little in common.
Yes,
Like 3 films.
it's true. But they're all pretty high up, at least.
Yeah, just great films. You can't say anything against them.
I got Rounders as one of my honorables. The
I
poker
thought it
film.
was all right. I don't know.
That's quite cool.
It's
I love
over the
poker.
top cool, and it's just John Malkovich's
He's
character
great.
is just so
Oh, Malkovich is great.
such a fucking stereotype of character.
Yeah, come on. Obviously, Good Will Hunting, Saving Private Ryan. Contagion. Obviously now
I
very,
also
very...
finally watched this film
Yeah.
for this podcast. But I don't know. I didn't like the ending as much, and his role was quite boring, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he's sort of the one. He's immune, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's more interesting in the beginning.
Yeah. I think it's a very, very interesting film now, especially. I saw it a couple of years ago.
Paranoid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Just hold on, what have I written down here? Invictus. That wasn't really worth a mention.
I also would have loved to see that one.
Yeah, it's okay. Contagion. Right. I think that is it. I mean, also I would have loved to have seen Good Shepherd and some other things, but didn't get around to it in time. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah. What an episode. Let's wrap this up.
Let's go.
We hope you enjoyed this. We didn't even like
rambling fucking episode.
Yeah, we didn't even like. Once again, we didn't say that. Oh, the best thing we've seen. The best thing that I've seen was The Martian. The best thing Gabe was seen was The Departed. Just for the record.
But also The Martian.
Also The Martian.
Like, if you can take anything away, The Martian is a fucking amazing film.
EuroTrip was one I wanted to mention. Have you seen EuroTrip?
Yeah, but
what was the name? Scotty doesn't know. He's singing. It's great.
It's a fun film, but
I wasn't ever going to break my top 10.
Yeah, never.
All right, we could talk about Matt Damon for another 90 minutes, but let's wrap this up.
Sure.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, we're gonna be back with a regular episode next week.
Yes, we'll open some of those closed boxes again.
Maybe.
But yeah, that was the 20th episode. Thank you so much for listening to the first 20 episodes.
Yeah, thank you for sticking around, and I hope we kind of gave you some recommendations, maybe some films that you haven't thought about when you thought about Matt Damon.
Absolutely.
Especially since we maybe didn't pick a lot of the classics.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know what your favorite Matt Damon thing is. Just get in touch with us. You can always interact with us on Twitter at Best Thing Radio, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And
we're always open to feedback on Apple Podcasts. If you want to write us a review, positive or negative, we're always happy to hear some criticism.
Yes.
And yeah, I hope you had a great time. We had.
Yes. We'll speak to you again next week. Cook something good.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.